You do not want to be Jake Lloyd's parents in a movie. Ever.
Oh.
Bad things happen to you if you're his parents.
Yeah,
I respect that joke. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Nerd On, the podcast you didn't need, but you deserve, where all levels of nerd are welcome. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, no, I guess not. So some usually kind of music things sometimes. Sometimes you guys cut me off.
Did you just do Harry Potter, though?
I did, because it's a Christmas movie.
That's what, like, actually kind of...
That's what I heard. I was like, I think that was Harry Potter. Dun, 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 dun.
Well, ho, ho, ho. It's that time of the year to bring out the holiday classics. With consumerism, reindeer, and a dad who's too busy to hang out with his son. Today's episode parades in with Jingle All The Way.
Nice. And remember, you are our number one customer.
Tum 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 tum. There is no score to this movie.
No.
If there is, it's could use some work.
Yeah.
Because it's not memorable.
What is this, a Marvel film?
Yes. There's a lot of Marvel characters in it.
It is Disney, right?
Now it is.
Yeah.
But let's not get too far into it. Let's introduce the host. My name is Tom.
I'm Corey.
And I am Josh, and this episode is brought to you in part by the members of the Nerd On Nation that is powered by Patreon. As a member of the Nerd On Nation, you do get fun perks. Like you get bonus episodes that nobody else hears, like the minute and the extra. And it's just fun stuff over there. It's a great community to be a part of. You get early access to episodes. You get access to channels on their Discord that are only for you. You get discounts on merch.
Right there.
Wow. What in the actual fuck?
Corey was doing it.
I was doing more of an ASMR thing, but you took it to like an
adult
overheard
level.
porn.
We're
LA.
Wow.
We're a family show.
Are we though?
Right there with that.
So check out that Nerd On Nation. You get to support us as we keep making content and be the best that we can be. And, one day get to a place where this is our job. This is what we do all day, every day.
We're not gonna do
Well, technically it is our job, but we're not getting paid for
Yeah.
it.
We're not gonna get paid to just do only adult video sounds.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Nerd On After Dark.
Yes.
But yeah, check that out. nerdon.tv/Patreon.
Patreon.
And check out the Discord, nerdon.tv/Discord. And a huge shout out to Odyssey, Apogee, and
Embody audio. Embody audio.
Embody Audio. They have a great
Body audio.
They have a great program called Immerse that is spatial audio with any headphone.
It works with your AirPods and your. It's crazy.
Yeah,
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's cray. Check it out. It's on PC.
Scientifically, it's amazing.
It's
a
so
wonder.
smart, it's stupid.
Yeah.
That's how smart it is.
That's their new
Yeah.
slogan.
Yeah.
You can't take
okay,
that.
that's fine.
Epic mealtime.
Oh, gotcha.
So Tom, for the next part, I realized that there's new copy, and I put it in there, but I didn't put it on the right page. I think it's actually on the previous notes episode. So, hey,
This is a rough patch in our episode.
know.
Speaking of rough patches, Tom.
Hey, fellas. This episode of Nerd On, the podcast, is brought to you by our favorite producers of ball trimmers, Manscaped. The global leaders in below-the-waist grooming are leaving 2021 with new products. Clean yourself with the new year with their ultra-premium body wash. Also, special offer alert. Use the code NERDON for 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com. 4 million men already trust Manscaped. Time to join them. Million!
Wow.
And get things like the Weed Whacker for
Love that
people who
thing.
may not have balls. Because, bats want to come out of the cave even though it's Christmas time and there's no more bats to be had because Halloween's over. Holidays.
Jesus.
The holidays are here. Again, I have used the body wash and shampoo and conditioner, and I've loved it.
I like their chapstick.
I was really surprised. I went to go visit my pops over the holiday.
Shout out.
And, I don't normally bring
Papa's
toiletries.
Borsooth?
Papa Borsooth, yeah. And I don't normally bring toiletries. I bring a toothbrush and toothpaste and a towel. But I'll use their shampoo or conditioner.
What do they got?
Whatever they got. And I was like, let me open this giant box. It was a really cool gift box I got before the big days of the holiday. And I tried it out. I'm like, oh my god, these are they look like nitrous bottles and
I
all that
have
stuff.
to bring this home with me.
And I tried it, and I was like, okay, let me see how
They're
this goes.
they're metal bottles, and they just look nice and feel heavy. And
the
you're
thing
this
is,
fancy.
I'll be 100% honest. I have such a low bar of satisfaction from any type of shampoo and conditioner and body wash. Typically, I'm like, oh, this is the same crap. Who cares? And then using this, I'm like, oh, I smell so nice. I feel so good. Like, again, it is that kind of like, you think the word Manscaped, you're like, oh, this is just trimmers, but you don't really expect the fact that like you're going to be smelling very, very professional, really kind of take on the day. I'm not much of a morning shower person, but it made me want to be a morning shower person. I'm much more of a night shower person. But then after that,
after work or something?
after work, before I go to bed, I'm like, I want to take a shower. But then this was like, oh, maybe I should just shower in the morning so I feel like I could take on the day. That's how much I really enjoyed their body wash and shampoo. And you can get them at manscaped.com with the promo code NERDON.
Boom.
There it
Da-dun.
is. Ba-da-dun-dun-dun-dun.
But yeah.
That is the housekeeping. Let's jingle all the way right into this episode.
I don't hate that.
I thought they were going to say this turbo of an episode.
No.
Turbo.
What I came up with is better.
Okay.
It was a lot better. It was so much better. High five.
What just happened?
Remember when Corey was a host? I'm kidding.
I think you're going to feel bad in about 3 minutes here. That's my guess.
I'm already there.
Yeah. No, I know. I'm talking about him.
That being said, we'll move on to our first two segments of their show. The first part's going to deal with the end of the show. So we're going to do
Guess That Grump. Put that cookie down. Mailman's also here. There's a bum in the radio show, and then there's reindeer.
Mail bombs. Oh,
I rhymed mine. Did you hear?
Did.
Thank you.
mail bombs all the way. Anyway, so if you first time listening to Nerd On, you're welcome for that. And that
was actually the most cohesive one we've ever.
we used the funny thing is we use that song every episode, whether it's
you just don't know it.
But we're going to go around the table and guess who is going to have the highest score from a scale of 1 out of 5, who the lowest score is, no matter how high the number is. And at the end of the episode, we're going to reveal our numbers. With that being said, and since I always introduce the Guess That Grump and I never change up how we explain it, I will go first. And I will say that I think the grump for this episode is going to be Corey.
Yeah, I already wrote you in after my name.
Yeah.
Josh.
It's like I learned something.
Choose wisely.
Choose wisely.
It's two options.
50-50, baby.
It's an ultimatum, babe.
Tomato.
I'm going to mix it up and I'm going to go with Tom because I feel like it's actually kind of a 50. The decision is not just 50-50. I really do think it's going to be both of you have equal footing in my mind.
Yeah,
who
it's
I think
Schwarzenegger and it's dad stuff. So pick your poison.
I think I'm going to go with Josh.
Okay.
So that gives a vote to all of us. So now it's up to the Nerd On Nation.
What's that? How do you do
draw
that?
a tie? Hey, are you sitting there going, you voted for everyone. I don't really actually have a problem with this. But honestly, it's going to be Corey. Then you should go and join our Nerd On Nation because then you can partake in a poll. And you can try to guess that grump. And if you get it right, you get a shout on the show. And then you're the guesser, grader, gumper, aggressor, turbo man. Who else?
Sinbad.
You're my number one customer, guesser, grumper, TM.
Sinbad.
Bing.
Gucci.
And yeah, you'll get a shout on the show from us if you get it right. So go join the Nerd Nation and vote on all these episodes because it's a lot of fun and it means a lot to us. And without it, I'll die. So with that said, the Nerd Nation has spoken. It's Tom. Tom is the grump for the week. I had to throw 2 curveballs there.
Yeah, you did.
So I apologize. So that means you and I will go first, and then Tom, you're the last one.
Wow.
So with that hits exactly 3 minutes. So I have something for you, Tom.
Uh-oh. Oh,
I
you're gonna give me
see
a
why.
gift on the episode?
Yeah, go
Do
ahead.
I have to open this
You
now?
do have to open it right now.
All right, everyone. I want everyone to know first. This is like a salmon gift wrap. It is
It's a Dusty Rose.
It's Dusty Rose. It's got some little gnome elf people.
It's Santa. Rip it
those
open.
Are Santas.
Rip it big time.
I'm ripping the sides because I want to appreciate the artistry of the wrap. And I'm not a
rip it
child
open.
anymore.
Just rip it open, please.
Okay. And some of it's taped to the box. I'm gonna open it from the front so I see it last.
Yeah.
It's a Turbo Man. Oh my God! It's a Turbo Man. But wait.
Oh my God.
Merry Christmas.
Why do I need this when I have the real one in front of me?
There it is. was.
Thank you,
There you go,
Corey.
Tom.
I
You
have
should have got him a booster.
I thought about it.
Wow. Oh my God, the cat.
So there you go.
Wow.
It talks and it has the boomerang that shoots. And 13.5-inch Turbo Man
You
doll.
could only get it at Walmart.
Mhm.
Also, everyone watching,
I
or
tried to take it off, but it's
Yeah.
sticky.
everyone listening, you have to now watch this episode, and you have to like it, and you have to subscribe. So
We can't really keep it on the table because it's
It's
over a
giant.
foot tall.
yeah, it's 13.5 inches.
Yeah.
That's like
Deluxe edition.
That's like 11 inches bigger than my penis.
Oh, Jesus. So there you go. Merry Christmas, Tom.
Thank
Jingle
you.
all the way.
banned.
I'm sorry, Corey. I will leave. So now with that wonderful secret surprise that's not on every episode, we'll move on to our next segment, which is going to be our brief or our initial reactions and our first impressions. It's been a
Total
while.
spoiler.
Yeah, total spoiler of our guest at Grump. I have to process this toy first.
I'll
So
go
Corey,
first.
Go first.
I watched this a lot as a kid. I don't know the first time I saw it, but it was one of those ones that was repeated a lot. I mean, like a lot. If I had to guess, I would say that my dad, Jolie, showed it to me. It seems like his sense of humor. He was the one who showed me a lot of, Jackie Chan, Arnold Schwarzenegger type of movies, those like action comedy type things. So with that said, I loved this movie. I even remember as a kid, watching it now, very different. The Phil Hartman storyline hits a little different when you're an adult. I didn't understand what that was when I was a kid. But yeah, I remember just thinking it was hilarious. Like the zany antic, like the whole ball scene to me was hilarious as a kid. And Sinbad, just
Sinbad.
the diner
Sinbad.
scene. We'll get into
Sinbad ain't
specifics, but
bad.
I was a fan of Arnold Schwarzenegger growing up as well, not to the extent that Tom was, but I loved this movie when I was growing up, and having watched it, I probably haven't watched it in like I'd say about 10 years. I
Wow.
would say would be
Okay.
the amount of time that went from my last watching of Jingle All the Way. But now thanks to Disney Plus, it was very easy to do. My wife had never seen it.
Oh, wow.
And that was a fun experience because I look over at the end and she's crying at Jingle All the Way. So all in all, I like the movie.
Nice.
Josh?
Nice. Yeah, I'll go next.
Dad stuff.
Dad stuff. When this movie came, well, I'm a big brother.
Mhm.
I have a little brother. And
Shout
what
out.
my little brother would do is we'd get a new movie and we would watch this movie pretty much on repeat. Just put it in the rewinder, rewind it, put it in again.
Studying the
and
movie.
just and
Top Gun
watch it
from the
again.
top again.
Yeah. So when this movie came out, this was one of those ones that we watched so much. Not even
Till
during,
like the VHS wore out almost.
yeah, exactly. And it wasn't just during the holidays. We'd watch it like year round. Like my brother committed. He committed. Toy Story was another one of those. But so I've seen this movie a lot then, but this is the first time I had seen it. Man, it has to be decades since I had seen it last. And it was fun to revisit it. It was interesting to see just like, holiday movies from the 90s.
Gosh, yeah, we're gonna get into that a little bit.
Schwarzenegger, what was allowed, things that this is not, it is a kid's movie, it's a family movie, but it's not really.
No, it's like Rugrats, where it's
Yeah.
like, it's aimed for kids, but they know adults are
There's
gonna have to
hidden
watch
jokes
it.
in there.
So they're like, here's a treat for you.
Yeah.
The dad who had to take his kids or whatever.
It was fun to revisit this. It was really cool to like, it's one of those movies that you watch and you're reminiscing of the times that you originally watched it. And it's a sweet movie. It's Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
In the 90s. It's a Christmas movie.
Yeah. It's like they took the first 15 minutes of Hook and then wrote another movie after that.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting. I was going to say. So first of all, thank you for the gift again.
Yep.
I feel like more like an asshole now because everyone listening, I gave Corey a gift too, but my gift was an asshole gift.
No, it's not. It's actually pretty great.
It's a nice gift. It's something that he thought about,
It's the bomb.
but it's a terrible hot sauce that like.
But
is-
it's something we're gonna experience
yeah,
together.
It's inedible. So I'm like, well, shit, baby. Anyway, so it's funny that you say that. It's like Hook. I kind of felt like it's almost like proto Space Quest.
Okay,
Like that
I only
whole-
said Hook because like
Yeah.
he's busy at work, misses his kids'
Yeah.
event,
Yeah.
sporting event, and then is like,
It's
I'm sorry.
If Hook was, let's put Schwarzenegger, it's like, okay, it's a whole different movie now.
Yeah.
But like the opening sequence of this movie has, very Space Questy vibes and stuff like that. But anyways, watching this film,
Space Quest.
all right, we still haven't covered it.
No.
So everyone talks about me and Schwarzenegger. It's funny that everyone says like, oh, Tom's upbringing is Schwarzenegger. It wasn't kind of by choice though. It was because
happened.
imagine going to like the video store, right? Having access to watching videos.
Wait,
But-
Galaxy Quest?
Galaxy Quest, my
I
bad.
was like, Space Quest the game?
Galaxy Quest, the movie. But going to this video store, and there's only Schwarzenegger and Stallone. So it's like, oh, I wasn't like, oh man, I'm gonna watch Schwarzenegger movie. My dad was just like, we're watching The Eraser, we're watching Terminator, we're watching, Red Heat, we're watching. I'm like, True Lies, and so it's like I only,
True
and that's the
Lies.
reason why like I only know Schwarzenegger things. So this film, when I watched it as a kid, was very much like, oh, this is a Arnold Schwarzenegger movie made for me because I loved toys. To your point of Toy Story, I used to have a Buzz Lightyear
Mm-hmm.
and it broke and I was really sad. But then I remember Turbo Man and I was just like, oh, Arnold Schwarzenegger is the toy now. My dad will definitely let me have it. And you know what? I've never had a Turbo Man doll.
The equivalent.
That's what I was banking on.
The modern day equivalent would be the PS5. It's impossible.
That's the adult equivalent for sure. I think right now, if there's like maybe a McFarlane Toys,
Yeah.
Iron Man, Mark, whatever armor,
Yeah.
it's like probably
I
the
mean,
same
it was
thing.
based off Cabbage Patch Kids in the 80s,
about the
but it
insane.
hit the same year the Tickle Me Elmo craze did
Wow.
and reflected it without, they couldn't have had the forethought for that.
Tickle
Yeah.
me, Elmo
But
Grace.
yeah, it hit the same year,
Consumerism.
1996.
Yeah, I
But it was
remember
based
that.
off, written from the 80s experience of Cabbage Patch Kids, where everyone had to have it. Our equivalent would be Beanie Babies,
Remember all those, was it KB Toys?
KB Toys,
KB
man.
Toys, just the doors
Well,
blasting
toys,
open.
I remember when toys used to be
FAO
like,
Schwartz.
they used to be some of them hard to get.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
And now it's just like, I mean, we being ones that used to work at the Apple store, like opening days used to be cray. Now
Ugh.
they're like, well, get online and do all this thing. There's so many.
Yeah,
There
you guys
isn't-
working at Apple now have no idea. We were there. We were there for day one of the new system, and it crashed.
Yeah.
We were sent back to the dark ages.
We were crucified so you can sin. I'm saying.
Yeah.
But no. So watching this film, I had such very little memory of what this movie is, and much like you guys' experience of like, oh, this is my first time watching it as an adult. I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
this movie is doing a lot of things by the numbers and a lot of things like, oh, it's almost kind of like it's crazy to see older films like being so ready to be adapted to be broadcast on television. Watching this film this time, I was just like really kind of delightfully like, oh, this is a little holiday movie and it has all the things I hate about holidays, of the consumerism and all that
Mhm.
stuff and the mania and the people turning on each other. But like, there's just something about like, I know it's going to wrap up because it's a holiday movie. I know there's going to be some, and the thing I like about this is
A
that
lesson learned. And
lesson learned, but I like the in-universe toys.
Mhm.
Like then it's like, oh, like no one likes this one, everyone likes that one. But also there's a little bit of like the fun things of like, let's go out into the mysterious, magical world that's completely fictional and written for this world that like good movies should have. Also in this movie, the wife character is not the dumb character. And
Right.
I like that. They're typically like the wife
she's
character.
the only sane one with the kid.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of good things to love, and I won't spoil any more of it. But yeah, I watched it. Definitely saw a lot of things. I'm like, oh God, you're just gonna do this. Oh, you should just. And I look at it like looking at other holiday movies that we've done in the past. That I realize like why maybe this one isn't always in the forefront of people's minds. But this always is for me just because it's Schwarzenegger.
Right.
And to me, it's always that kind of funny thing. I was like, The Rock's done it, Cena's done it, Batista's done it, Vin Diesel's done it. All of them have done their kid movies.
Right.
This is a one that I think Schwarzenegger actually wanted to do because he was always like, I'm
I
typecasted.
love kid movies.
Well-
When these big stars do these.
That and Kindergarten Cop.
Kindergarten
Yeah.
Cop.
Did you grow up watching
I
Kindergarten Cop?
watched a lot of Kindergarten Cop. But like, to Josh's point, like it's kind of become this rite of passage for all these like big buff dudes to do this. And only reason I think they have to do it now is because Schwarzenegger showed that like, if you're a bodybuilder, you should be able to do every role.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm in the comedy.
It's like to
He
show
took it-
range a little bit.
Your exact point is that he took it because he wanted to play an everyman.
Mm-hmm. Well, like he was like, "Oh, you're too big. You can't be a leading guy. You're a monster." And then he was in Conan, and then he was Hercules in New York, and then he's like, "Oh, I want to be a romantic lead." It's like, no, impossible. And then True Lies. It's like all these things. It's like he wanted to push himself in that way. Maybe not to the extent of our new darling David Bautista,
No.
but like I really enjoyed like, oh wow,
Trying to flex his craft. I did love the line, "You can't bench press your way out of this one."
yeah,
That was pretty great.
and I was like, oh, yeah, but he's being some skeezy father. But anyways, I like this movie, but I do see some of like has it aged that well? I don't
Mhm.
know.
I mean, that's the thing. It's a time capsule at this point.
absolutely, and it's a really cool, fun, indicative way of
Was
like,
it 93? 96, excuse me.
Yeah.
yes.
So almost 30 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Wild. So next segment is the production and brief synopsis.
Yes, and we didn't talk about who's going to be doing this.
I'll do brief.
So
already
Josh
have
will
it
do the
pulled up.
brief synopsis. I could do the production.
I got my trivia stuff here. So
Okay. So yes, I'll do the production. You do the trivia stuff.
yeah.
This
There's just a few I found. I don't always do this on episodes, but there was a few I was looking through and I was like, I want to share these. And that was one of them.
Yeah,
but
I
I'll
think
have a few more.
people miss that.
Yeah.
Those who are listening, please comment in that section and tell us that you missed that. So-
Brief will be brought to you by me.
Mhm.
Workaholic Howard Langston, Arnold Schwarzenegger, wants to make things up to his son, Jamie, Jake Lloyd, and his wife, Liz, Rita Wilson. He promises to get Jamie the hottest toy of the season, Turbo Man, even though it's Christmas Eve and the toy is practically sold out. As Langston hunts down the elusive gift, he runs into mailman Myron, Sinbad, another father on the same quest. With the clock winding down, Langston's moral code is tested as he starts to learn the real meaning of Christmas.
Tum tum.
Dum.
And now the production brought to you by me. Distribution was 20th Century Studios, formerly 20th Century Fox, that has given us such things as Dr. Dolittle, Die Hard, and Home Alone. The director is Brian Levant, who's given us such things as, or worked on such things as The Flintstones, The Spy Next Door, and Beethoven. Classics. We gotta hit these classics.
Beethoven.
We gotta hit
Oh
these
my God.
classics, man.
Yeah.
The producers, Chris Columbus. We know them from Rent, Christmas with the Cranks. I Love You, Beth Cooper. Chris Columbus.
Yeah.
Yes. And Michael Barth.
What do you think I was going to say?
No, I don't know. I thought you were going to be like Christopher Columbus. Like, no.
Like Harry
Like
Potter?
Harry Potter. Yeah. And I just chose all the ones around him.
No. Dum, 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 dum.
Michael Barnathan from I Killed Giants, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, and Bicentennial Man. Mark Radcliffe from The Help, Fantastic Four, and Mrs. Doubtfire. The writer is Randy Kornfeld, who's written such things as Eight-Legged Freaks and The Secretary and Blood Knot. Yeah. The cast, Arnold Schwarzenegger from such things as Eraser, The Sixth Day, and Last Action Hero. All movies that we will be covering
Someday. I still want to
I'm
cover
in.
Rocky. man.
tomorrow. Yeah. Rocky. Sinbad in such things as Coneheads, Good Burger, and First Kid. Phil Hartman from Small Soldiers, Keegan's Delivery Service. Yeah.
First Kid. Jesus,
First
that got me
Kid.
for a sec. Sorry, that took me
Yeah,
a
you're
minute.
Good. News Radio, Rita Wilson from Sleepless in Seattle, Runaway Bride, Now and Then. Robert Conrad from such things as Centennial, Black Sheep Squadron, The Wild Wild West Revisited. Jake Lloyd from such things as Star Wars Episode 1, Phantom Menace. Madison and The Pretender. Jim Belushi from such things as Red Heat, K-9, and Little Shop of Horrors. The release date for this film, two of them. November 16th, 1996, Mall of America, and November 22nd, 1996, to the rest of the United States. The runtime is 89 minutes. The budget
Short.
for this film was $75 million. The gross is $129.8 million. With inflation, all those numbers go big. Rotten Tomato score, ooh, baby, at a hot 17% for critics,
Damn.
from 47 reviewers, and 38 from 100,000 plus ratings. So people think this movie is garbage.
It's to I think what Josh was gonna say. It's not a perfect movie by any
No.
means, but you can love something, not have it be perfect. There was just a few bit of trivia facts that I wanted to share with
Please.
this. Sinbad's agent did
Mhm.
not want him to play Myron, the villain in this film, but Sinbad fought for it because he thought he was a sympathetic villain, and by the end of it, he would still be loved, which I think they accomplished.
To me, kind of going into it's like, oh, they're gonna have to have a redemption story. They're
Yeah.
putting him in there for such a long time.
Yeah.
He can't just be terrible.
And to his point, they did. Despite how they seemed on screen, Rita Wilson and Arnold Schwarzenegger both loved working with Phil Hartman. They both described him as warm, kind, and one of the best people they've ever worked with.
Well, because he plays a sleazeball very well.
Yeah, mostly you'll learn the nicest people. Gary Oldman can play some of the most dastardly of folks. The Turbo Man suit is based off the Flash on purpose.
Yeah.
Very much so on purpose. They almost had Tim Allen play Howard, and they were also considering Joe Pesci for Myron.
Very different movie.
At the time, Joe Pesci, Schwarzenegger had been cast, and they thought that the height difference, 2 reasons they didn't do it. Height difference was too much.
Yeah.
But not because of what you would think. It's because he had starred in Twins and what was the other one where he gives Junior with Danny DeVito, and they didn't want Arnold Schwarzenegger's career to just be him against smaller people.
Just pretty much not the Dwayne Johnson, Kevin Hart life.
Right. The last bit of information that I absolutely loved, that is not, the first part of this is not surprising at all. Sinbad improvised most of his lines. But the thing Arnold Schwarzenegger loved about this the most is that he got to improvise back. So a lot of their scenes together are just them ad-libbing and getting, this is something he didn't get to do very much.
I could only imagine Schwarzenegger loved that because he's like, oh, now I get to be a good actor.
Yeah.
He's like, now I get to try it. I'm like, yeah. And that's Schwarzenegger just loves to just
and
work on his craft.
This film shoot was so quick that he signed on the thing in February. They shot it in April. Most movies would have a year for merchandising, and they only had 6 months. So they got the Turbomans out, but there was a shortage of Turbomans from Jingle All The Way. I think that's all I had to share for now. There's check out the trivia on there because I don't say this about every movie. It was pretty fascinating for such a unassuming film. There was a lot of fun trivia. Everyone loved making this movie. There's a lot, and you can tell. There's just a lot of I love reading that kind of stuff, and it makes me like projects more when you can tell that everyone involved is just having a fucking blast.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that it's just the wackiness. And now that we're going to go into spoiler town.
I have one last thing that
please.
a favorite or a fun fact
Fun
or
fact.
something.
Oh, please.
Actually, last
Good job, Corey.
I could
just destroy.
I heard and felt that.
Strong.
Go on without me.
Last year, it was trending, but for the wrong reasons. Apparently, TBS aired a version of this film that ended like 20 minutes early.
Ooh.
The credits just started rolling when he, at the end,
Where he's
the
on the
parade
parade?
scene, and he flies off and he's flying around and just went to credits.
Oh no!
And people were like,
Our movie, it's broken.
"Oh no!"
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, I was like, "Wow."
That's funny.
Yeah, I also and I wanted to give a shout out for Anthony Steves because you know who Big Santa is?
Oh,
Big Show,
oh,
WWE.
yeah.
And you know who Little Santa is? Uncredited? Vern Troyer.
Oh, yeah.
R.I.P. Shout out. He came
R.I.P.
to our Apple store. I think I've said this on the podcast before. In case I haven't, I have never seen another actor be so willing to spend time with fans as I did with Vern Troyer. He came to our Apple store a couple times, and we didn't work in a very big Apple store.
No.
It was probably 20 steps from the front to the back. It took him 20 minutes to get from the front of the store to the back because he stopped and talked to everyone who wanted to take a picture with him. And I've always loved him since Austin Powers. And so to see a little bit of him in this, I was just like, Vern Troyer, man. Good dude. Fucking good dude.
Good
R.I.P. in peace, King.
So now we're in spoiler full stuff.
full.
So we're gonna, not hold back. If you haven't watched it, you can watch it on Disney Plus. But also, right now, during this month, you can watch it on YouTube free.
Really?
With ads.
Oh, well, still, though.
Yeah.
It's like a commercial break.
YouTube movies is kind of a weird, lovable thing where it's like, oh, I didn't know I could watch this for free on YouTube.
You know what's interesting? We just did an episode with a guest where we talked about a Chaplin film, and for some reason my HBO Max wasn't working. YouTube.
Nice.
Yeah. So now,
720p, so some people will be upset about it, but it was fine.
before we get fully into favorite parts, I do want to say one thing. This is the joke I was going to say. You do not want to be Jake Lloyd's parents in a movie. Ever.
Oh.
Bad things happen to you if you're his parents.
Yeah,
I
you're right.
respect that joke. Okay, that's fine.
If you're
You're right.
his mom, you die. If you're his dad, he doesn't love you.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like, give this to me. I was like, oh, this kid has such
you're right.
terrible movie parents.
It reminds me of just like being Sean Bean in any movie.
Yeah,
You're just like,
I'm just like,
oh, you poor man.
Well, like to me, and that was the same line I thought about like Daniel Kaluuya. And I was like, don't date this man in the movie. You die.
You die.
You die. You have marital
Yeah.
problems.
Can we also just shout out Chris Parnell? This is his first movie role, and I thought he was so very Chris Parnell in it, but so goddamn funny.
Well,
That laugh when he asked where the Turbo Man doll is, and she's like,
That whole, just coming from a retail background, just
Oh, yeah.
the whole chaos of Christmas Eve, it's just like they don't. I feel like they don't really talk about Christmas like that as much anymore, like they used to. Like it used to be much more chaotic and
You know what is scary about this too? And I'm sorry to interrupt you for a second. Don't forget your thought.
Corey.
I'm so sorry. But you just reminded me, my wife and I were talking about this. So the part where they trample through the apartment store at the time was a joke.
Yeah.
Watching that now in 2020, when we know people have been trampled to death, it didn't hit us the same.
No.
Like that was like, oh, how crazy of them.
No. It's a thing. It's a real thing.
And we all preach it here. Tom does, especially with Manscaped. But to your point, like retail is.
It has changed significantly, and it's just like I love the chaos that they show of when like a new hot product is out. I mean, I've seen a little firsthand of like people doing crazy things for a certain product that's not super available during the holidays, and you're like, no, you think this is a joke, but it's.
A lady died drinking water for a wee.
It's
it's
real.
Hold your wee for a wee is because also they didn't allow them to pee.
Yeah.
And so they cleaned out her thing.
I do want to point this out because having all worked in retail, it took me 2 years to listen to Christmas music again because it was like a very Pavlovian thing where I would hear Christmas music and I would get anxious.
Yeah.
Because I knew.
Oh, great. I'm on cue.
I knew that like it was coming and I was going to have those nights where I would try to leave work and it would take me 2 hours to get out of the parking garage. And I panicked. And I do think, just to touch on this for a minute, sorry to get like really serious in a Jingle All The Way thing.
Yeah.
But like Tom, I'm really proud of Tom for having mentioned this on our Manscaped stuff and social media and stuff like that. But like really, really this season, if y'all can just be nice to retail employees because I think they all deserve therapy, paid therapy for having to work holidays like Thanksgiving, Black Friday, and Christmas. Because for you are going somewhere to buy a gift for someone. But remember that they are seeing 10 times the amount of people they usually have to and are expected to act the exact same way as they do the rest of the year.
I also want to draw.
It's very thankless too. People are so mean.
Draw a line.
Yeah.
Businesses want to see you. Employees want to be with their families.
Right.
So think of it that way. Businesses need your money. Employees need your kindness.
And I will give you a peek behind the curtain, at least from, I'm not saying everyone's going to do this, but this is how I rolled at the Apple store. It got to the point during the holidays where if someone treated me like a human, I would go to management to see if I could get a free case or something just because they were like, hey man, thank you for helping me out. I know it's a crazy time. I was like, I'm going to give you everything you want right now. So also carry that with you. If you do have to go into the stores, just know that they are people and it means a lot to them to be treated as such. And if there's any sort of understanding you can have for what they're going through during the retail season, it goes a long way. Anyway, just because of what we saw, it triggered me and I wanted to bring that up.
It was just like, wow. It was, anyway, as a, recovering retail employee. No, I'm just kidding. It was just very funny to see how they used to represent and just like the hot product of the season, and just it was just cool to revisit. Like we revisited Hook. Just revisiting old movies is just a fun experience to see.
I would say Chris Parnell is who we all wanted to be in retail. When someone's like, "Do you have the new iPhone?" Be like, hey everybody, this guy wants an iPhone.
To just button up fully that segment about PSA about retail.
Sorry, I didn't mean to just bring the whole episode down.
It's a PSA. My thing at the end. I won't hate you if you online shop. I know we all have
try
our
to
own
buy
thing.
from mom and pop.
Yeah, try to, but like if you need to, if you can, do it online. If you can,
No shame.
So you don't like overwhelm places, especially if you're a last minute shopper.
Yeah.
That being said, favorite part for me, I kind of really enjoyed the opening. Because it almost reminds me of...
You're my number one customer.
Well, it reminds me of Love Actually. And how it's very much like this Christmas party kind of thing. And and there's a really good like writing irony in there where it's like, your dad's just working really hard right now. Pop champagne, it's it's like, oh wow, like there is this weird thing.
Meanwhile.
It's something that you kind of really appreciate when you watch a film. You're like, oh, they have good reasons to go to the next scene.
Yeah. I think that's what reminded me of Hook is like, he's on his way and then it cuts to him having that like duel in the hallway with the cell phones. Reminded me a lot of him like popping champagne or like taking all the calls and telling his wife he's the number one customer.
Yeah. Like but I like that also. There's a part of me that just loves seeing Schwarzenegger act because he doesn't come from an acting background whatsoever. And so I'm just like, I want to see what he's got, see if he can actually go the distance. And he will get out acted by everyone around him.
Sure.
And it's not like a bad thing because everyone's a good actor. But like it's
Charisma.
It's charisma, but also it's like, let's see how he does. And like he's never trying to take a scene, I think, from anyone and all that
No.
stuff. So it's like it's fun to see.
And you know what else about Schwarzenegger I really love? And I've learned, I won't drop names here, but I do know a lot of these wrestling actors who have become actors have in their contracts that they are not allowed to lose a fight in a humiliating way because it messes with their image. And Schwarzenegger is not beyond getting beat up by a bunch of moms in a ball pit.
Yeah.
And I really respect that. Like he has an understanding that like, oh, that's funny. I'm this huge buff guy. It's fucking hilarious if a bunch of kids and moms beat me with purses in a ball
But
pit.
also he understands the irony that it's like he's a big guy. He's like, I'm looking for a doll.
Yeah.
Getting beat up by Santas. It's
Right.
funny.
Yeah, but like I really gotta. It's so silly to me, these contracts that are like, oh yeah, he can't lose in a humiliating way. He can lose, but it has to be in like a badass loss. I'm like, look at Schwarzenegger, man. Look at Batista. Like they have no problem with being like, is it for the story? Is it gonna work? Then I'm doing it. For
Yeah,
sure.
well, I mean that kind of is like, okay, do you want to be a star? Or do you want to be an actor? And I think Schwarzenegger was like, I want to be both.
Right.
And like that's the kind of like the gonad he was just like, I want to be the biggest guy, the most paid guy. I want to
The
be every
funny
guy.
guy,
I
yeah.
want to be all of them. And he's done a lot. Did he achieve all the things? Maybe not. He was a politician. But anyways, this movie. So like
he's a great scene partner too. He doesn't
Yeah.
steal. He's really good at elevating whoever's with him. Also.
And that's kind of the thing for me. It's very different watching a Schwarzenegger, him being a star in a movie versus seeing any other celebrities nowadays. It's like, oh, well, the movie's all about them.
right.
Where
right,
here
right,
it's
right.
like, this guy's Howard Langston sucks as a character.
oh
like,
yeah,
and this whole movie is because he was an unattentive father.
Mhm.
And I just thought that was just really funny. It's like, you got him the doll, right? He's like,
Of course,
Yeah,
I got him the doll
yeah,
weeks
yeah.
ago.
just lying his way out of there.
Also, Rita Wilson's bae in this for sure.
Yeah.
I have not experienced in the Rita
the
Wilson
Baeness?
verse. No, but in this, I was like,
Oh.
that's marriage material right there.
Yeah. And I mean, that's what I said at the beginning. I was like, the thing I like about her
Good for you,
character,
Tom Hanks.
yeah, her character is great because it's like all her decisions are like, I don't blame her.
No,
And like that's a funny thing where it's like most times you have these housewife characters or not even these wife characters who are just like absolute like decorations on the wall that
Oh,
you're like,
yeah.
you're not a person. You are literally here to push the plot and you're going to fall in love with the neighbor. Where she's like, no, what's wrong with you? I'm like, everything she's doing is not like an emotional thing. She's like, oh, the neighbor wants to come over and put the lights. Oh, the neighbor wants to come over and help
Yeah.
me make some things. It's like, I'm fine. And
Bake
she's
the
like,
cookies.
you see her be uncomfortable when like he's coming on to her. And I was like, yes, because she's a human being who
Yeah.
values her marriage.
Yep. Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I always feel a little bit. There's a lot of '90s moms. I mean, in Liar Liar, she still has a bigger part, but I almost feel that way. That the mom in Liar Liar doesn't serve more of a purpose than to push the plot, than to be disappointed in Fletcher.
To establish how bad the main character is.
Yeah. And she's great. Nothing wrong against that actress. Is wonderful. I've always loved that movie. But in this, the mom definitely has her own like proactive approach to the story, which is very. I didn't notice that. It's a really good point, especially for a '90s film.
Yeah. Josh?
I know that it's totally. I love the happenstance of the ending parade. I just
Yeah.
love that he just happens
How it's
to land.
shot.
How he
Oh, yeah, it
lands
was
into
really
like
nice.
he's in the suit. You're like, that wouldn't happen, but I don't care. I love it.
It's
And
a
just
goofy
the-
movie.
Yeah, it's just that everything kind of falls into place, and then you get this kind of like play of just basically the opening sequence of Turbo Man, and you get it played out on the streets, and it's just like, it's silly, but it's awesome. You're like, this is great.
The way it's shot, really, like obviously as a kid I didn't notice, but being older and having paid more attention to film, I love the way that's shot. Like you get the moment where he's
Stumbles
taken in. It's a lot of shadows, a lot of backlight, and then it's a POV
Mm-hmm.
until the very moment that it's revealed. You're like, oh shit, he's Superman. And it was like, I was like, this movie doesn't it didn't earn the right to be shot that well, but goddamn, like shout out to whoever thought of this. And the guy playing Booster saying like, I'm hotter than what is it?
Yeah.
I'm hotter than a dog in a
I don't
remember what it was.
that.
Some
Yeah.
restaurant. And he's chain
Was it a Chinese
smoking.
restaurant?
Probably.
Yeah.
He's chain smoking and he's a terrible fucking person.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're just like, oh, he's Booster. And then he gets knocked off the parade.
Yeah,
and all the
yeah.
kids are hitting him going, we don't like you.
I do love that joke. Just because, like, yeah, there was that thing where it's like,
The
you know-
sidekick isn't the. I
Well-
don't want that toy.
well, like, and I don't, I'm sorry, everyone. I'm not saying this out loud, but it's like, there was like, oh, I want red version Pokemon. No one wanted
Oh.
blue version. No one wanted blue.
Oh, did you?
I want a red version.
I
But
had red version.
then everyone's like, oh, here's blue versions in stock.
I got to shout out to Nate Willis. He got blue version.
Then they had a lot of it. But then a lot of people wanted red version. And I remember having that feeling of like, I don't want Bumblebee. I wanted Optimus. I don't want
I see.
Waspinator.
I
wanted
Booster.
Megatron.
I want Turbo Man.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, that's so real.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, just go back. Everyone just
I don't want Billy. I want Jason.
just go back and let yourself think about that.
That
You're
was
like,
me.
oh, that was real.
Tommy for him.
But yeah, no, it's there was one part when they're putting the suit on, and for me with Arnold, I always think of Total Recall when he falls out of the window and he's like,
ah, give these people.
But there's a part where they're putting on and he goes, it's just his eyeballs are gonna pop out of his head. But it's also sweet because as he comes up and he's realizing the allure of it and just
but I
could get used to this.
I love that's a fully functional one that actually could fly.
And the guy's
stuff.
spiel before where he's like, he actually had brain activity today, so it's a good thing. You're like, Jesus.
that would so not fly today.
No.
Unions would be like,
Well, I mean,
no.
this is the thing. There's a movie in the 90s. We've gotten so much better.
I do want to talk about that a little later on, because there is a good and bad to that time capsule bit.
Mhm.
But I want to focus on favorite parts, but I don't want to forget about it. So I
Yeah.
wanna put it out
Well, one thing also just mentioned, I just the weird stuff.
there. The Phil Hartman
weird
stuff.
The reindeer.
Oh, yeah.
The bomb.
punching the
The-
reindeer. Oh,
The
Well, that was before the anthrax scare,
yeah,
right?
well, I mean, just like the radio host, like all of those things.
Martin
happen.
Mull.
Like all of those. It's like,
well, pre 2001, like bomb scares were like they were put in
Oh.
movies as like
I'm not talking about like, oh, it's bad and we should. I'm just, what happened to the? You're watching. Okay, he's gonna get this doll. He's gonna. What is happening? This where did the reindeer? Like it's
Yeah.
all these things. Like
The-
what
the-
is
oh,
this
God,
happen?
yeah.
She's out back petting, what's his name in the movie? Phil Hartman's character.
Howard?
Ted.
She's outside petting Ted. What?
But then also, oh my god,
Because he named the reindeer pet.
now watching as adults, I'm sorry, Corey, you may not be in this. When it was like wife and Ted, I was like, Ted Betteke. I think of Breaking Bad all the time.
oh
IFT. There's an episode called IFT, and fuck Ted. But I just like, oh fuck Ted. But then like also just all the Santas and the Santa workshop and all that stuff, and it's black market exploitation kind of
And
stuff.
it's
The
in
Santa crime
Spanish
ring.
and it's
It's a
falling
bootleg,
apart.
and I was like, oh my god, what
Jim Belushi killing it in this role
Yeah.
too.
yeah.
Didn't need to go that hard, but did.
Hey,
It's
if you want
Belushi.
to throw a Mendo, I got it. Like, I don't see this sit on your lap. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, like, but like, it's that stuff where it's like, it just takes you to this, like, this was a normal man who isn't good at being a dad.
Mhm.
And now he's like in this factory. There's a police thing. He takes a fake,
He breaks into his neighbor's house and burns it down.
That's what he's
like,
about to steal. But like that's
that
what I'm
moment too. What am I doing?
Yeah.
I'm stealing from a child.
but like, it's that kind of like, what is this movie? And
Yeah.
it's the enjoyable, like, what is this movie?
That's what Dana had that moment. She talked to me afterwards. She was like, I really didn't think I would ever get worked up at a Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, but we'll talk about the ending here real quick, where he chooses the kid, and for some reason they don't know it's him, which is bizarre to me because, well, what other giant man with an Austrian accent that knows your name? But they're gonna give the purposeful allusion to Star Wars, which I am your father.
Mhm.
And then they have their whole thing. But the kid, Jake, shout out to Jake Lloyd in this movie because he's so good.
Isn't that wild? That
Yeah.
he would be in
Well-
a Vader scene.
Yeah. Seriously though, because here's the thing with the Star Wars films, y'all know this. I'll defend the prequels till the day I die. Jake Lloyd was not a bad actor. He had bad dialogue. People didn't love it because it wasn't what they wanted. It's a movie for
Well,
space wizards for kids.
I mean, also a lot of people just wanted Darth Vader to be like this evil Damien child
No.
instead of like a happy
And
boy.
It's obviously very unfortunate what the fandom did to him. I have always been on the side of I love Jake Lloyd, and this is another movie where it proved to me like he's a fucking good kid actor. That scene on the phone where he
Mhm.
yells at him and you always promise you're gonna be places and hangs up on him and this
Corey
ending.
cried.
Oh, dude, I even almost got choked up. Dana was full crying when he goes and gives the doll to Myron.
See that redeeming.
It was never about the doll. That's the whole thing.
Mhm.
It was just about the dad caring enough, and saying like, and then Myron gets his redemption
Yeah,
where
that-
he's like,
yeah.
my
And
kid,
the
this
wife
means a
is
lot.
like, oh.
Yeah, but he's like saying, my kid, this will mean a lot to my kid. So he gets the redemption too because he never got the toy, which was a real toy, by the way, the OMA. one-man army gun that Sinbad improvised about.
But like to your point of Sinbad and the trivia of like you want to play a character that had a villain who was redeeming.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, that's the thing. Like you don't just beat up your villains. Like you make them, you help them along the way, and like giving him the toy because Langston got what he needed with his son.
And he apologized. He's like, sorry about our little tension up on the roof there. But yeah, I loved that whole moment. I think this, I mean, obviously, again, Christmas movie, so it wraps up with a bow really well. But I really think that ending between them, before, I didn't need them carrying him off on their shoulders. But the moment with the family is really well earned. And thanks to everyone involved acting wise. When he calls Jamie up there, you're just like, yes, it's happening. And they get those weird shots, but where he's summoning him. But I really, the ending of this movie really hits well. It's well done. Well executed.
Running into the cop. Just the different like things that you're just like, it's the rule of threes. And it's so funny.
Sorry about the coffee.
It's so stupid, but you're just like, well, yeah, of course this would happen. All of the happenstance all the time.
I've been on the bomb squad for 20 years. How long were we on that bomb squad?
That it just goes.
Yeah.
Like afterwards,
you're just him. And I got to say, the Sinbad line that he says when he's running around after the bomb goes off made Dana and I laugh very hard. He's leaving. You hear it go off. You see Schwarzenegger. And then it cuts to Myron and he goes, it's a real bomb. It's a sick world with sick people in it. Wonderful. Wonderful.
No, I thought that was funny too. Cause that also in the movie, you're like, what is it? What's happening in this movie? Cause like it becomes a cartoon. At that moment, it's like, oh, it's a cartoon. No one died.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, this is a Christmas movie.
One particular thing that always, when I think of this movie, I always think of this is Arnold running down the street.
Faster than him?
Quoting the reindeer names.
Oh yeah.
It's just
like,
Prince.
I don't know it off the top of my head.
Always forever is just like, it's kind of like, I know that reference. And he's just like
and showing
running.
how much better in shape he is than Myron.
Yeah. But then Myron has like all the bags and stuff. It's like, dude, but then it comes in later.
I also, right before that is another one of my favorite parts. Again, one of these things that I think the film does something that is better than the film actually is, like the POV shot, but switching to see his kid as the postal worker drinking in a diner.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought that was so well done. Like I forgot about that. And then it happened and I was like, oh, good edit. Well, I love that. He's like, oh shit, my son's going to be Myron because I'm not getting him the toy. This is a fun movie.
It has a lot of interesting things that you're like, oh man, I want more of that kind of like cool, interesting stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
And then sometimes it still kind of veers back into like, oh, well, it's can't go too far.
Yeah.
We can't do the whole POV sequence, right?
No.
But then like again, when he flies up and then he goes to the camera, I'm like, this is a crazy cartoon movie.
It's a crazy cartoon movie. Like when he fights all the Santas and then the cops get there and he takes the toy badge. And as he's leaving, clean all this up.
Exactly.
I just love that. I mean, we've already mentioned him, but I just love that Booster is played by Curtis Armstrong, who is Booger. And
he's in a lot of things, but yeah.
And Nerds, why can't I think of it? Why can't I think of?
I'm thinking
it's famous 80s movie.
Revenge of the Nerds.
Revenge of the Nerds, yes.
Which did not age well.
No, none of those like college movies from the 80s really age well at all.
No.
At all.
What are you talking about? Oh, college films. Sorry.
Also,
80s films. Like,
obviously big. I'm going to ask, we have a mutual friend in Richard Horvitz now. There are obviously very big Power Ranger nods in this movie.
Vibes, yeah.
But those little minion guys that climb on him and say, don't you remember the choreography? Sounds like Richard Horvitz as Alpha 5. And he's uncredited, but I got to ask if it was him. I got to do it. Because Dana and I listened to it like 6 or 7 times. I was like, that's either Richard or that's someone very purposefully doing Alpha 5 to like a very good one.
Yeah.
So I gotta ask. Go back and watch that scene because you'll hear it.
Okay. All right.
We can go to favorite characters now.
Yeah, favorite characters.
Yeah. Also, last bit, being an adult, talking about the Phil Hartman storyline about him being the eligible bachelor. Never got that as a kid. That they got a divorce, and he's actually. I mean, we find out he's a piece of shit person, but the little nods about him like yelling at the kids to shut up, revealing his true colors.
Yeah.
But all the other women being like, "Hey, could you?" In that first scene,
could you come check out my back porch?
He's just smiling,
Doesn't
like
turn
a
on that
shit-eating grin on his face.
Yeah, and then he's like, "Oh, here are these cookies for the other day. You helped me out.
Put the cookie down." And that's one of those things that became a slogan. And I think you talked to me about this, where people are like, Arnold, how do you know what's
You
going to
never
be
know.
the line? He goes, you don't.
You never know.
You don't know what
Stick
it is.
around, you don't know, and then like put the cookie down.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So good.
God, the cringe moment when he's like, I'm sure I don't have to tell you, but I'm a very eligible bachelor.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Yeah. You
the
smell like
cookies.
All right, favorite characters, and then we'll get into quimquams.
You go first.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh man. How many are we doing? 2?
Phil Hartman and Sinbad, right?
No, I think.
Yeah, we'll do 2.
As much as I love Howard or Arnold Schwarzenegger in this, I think Myron is one of my favorites, and the kid. I think the kid,
Jamie?
Jake Lloyd, Jamie is like blows me away. He's such a big heart part of this movie, and
Who has a really awesome room as a kid,
yeah, really
Yeah.
awesome.
and it has
that
old
wall.
and reading old school comics. Like those aren't new. Those are
Parents at home, do you still do that? Do you still cover their...
My buddy Kevin, my cousin, my nanny as I call her, she's an artist, and she had his wall painted with like Superman and Batman breaking through the wall.
Oh,
and I was
that's
always
dope.
so jealous.
That is so cool.
Yeah, it's really fucking cool.
I don't think Bonnie will let me do that to our bedroom.
No.
I know.
Dang it.
Anyway,
So
yeah, those would be my 2.
Myron and Jamie.
I think
Okay.
it's between Jamie and the mom, but I'm gonna stick with Jamie for now.
Well, you know what? Mine is the mom.
Okay.
So she's gonna get
Liz.
some
Liz.
Liz.
I keep wanting to say Rita Wilson. I was like, that's not her character name.
We all want to say their actor names,
Yeah.
not their character names.
Yeah. And I'm gonna say Myron as well.
Okay.
I have a soft spot for Sinbad in the 90s and those movies. It just like he just cracks me up with some of the things that he said.
Sinbad in
So,
the 90s, man, was like I hope I would be down for a Sinbad renaissance.
Yeah.
Savannah sauce.
Mhm.
Mine is gonna be Howard and Ted.
Howard and Ted.
Howard and Ted, because it's just like
Phil Hartman.
they're just terrible to each other. Just like, oh man, and
Like
that's
one's legitimately terrible. The other one is like knowingly too nice.
Oh,
Terrible.
yeah. Well, I mean, the thing
Just
is, like,
noticed you didn't have any up here, so I thought, why not? Neighborly thing to do.
well, like, and that's the thing where it's like, I love the kind of like the almost little parable of Howard Langston of like Myron's like literally his physical antagonist, but
Yeah.
then in the background is like,
Ted.
I have to worry about Ted. But then the thing is that the film teaches
the
you
cookie
you
down!
don't have to worry about Ted because Liz is a real person.
Yeah.
And she's not just a 2-dimensional character. She's gonna be like, oh, whoever's gonna see me off
Or
here.
it's just like the sexual innuendo of I'm eating your wife's cookies. Like
Mhm.
that's just like
Mm-hmm.
you're what?
Yeah.
You're what?
Go upstairs, take a shower.
I
I'll be
think-
fine.
I think now with all of our favorite characters out of the way, you can bring up the time capsule stuff before we get into our qualms.
Yeah. So I know a bit of this is nostalgia,
Mhm.
but I'm also a connoisseur of like 80s sci-fi and 70s alt movies, and so I do think I have a qualification to put the nostalgia and rose-tinted glasses outside. There is something about films in the 90s, especially like these family comedies like this or Liar Liar or Kindergarten Cop and something like that. I don't know what it is, but there's like a warmth to them that a lot of movies do not have now. And I can't put my finger on the pulse of what that is. But if you have a
I can tell you.
Yeah, what is it?
Tungsten lights. LEDs aren't a thing.
Oh, I don't mean like visually warm.
Oh, well, that's a thing. I'll tell you that
But
right now.
yes, that. But I just mean like
you went literal.
you went
No,
literally warm, but
legit,
that's a big part of it. That
like,
could be a big part of it. Or a small part of it, but yeah, part.
You know me now. I like tungsten warm lights.
Yes.
I am so over LEDs.
For sure.
LEDs as a technology are great. I hate everyone was like, let's go cold and fucking surgical. Like,
Yeah.
I want my room to look that way sometimes because I'm like, I need to work. But like, there's a warmth factor. Like, Home Alone looks really warm.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of, like, it's because it's warm color temperatures.
Yeah.
So, but
I meant like it's like a I say this phrase on this show a lot, but like a warm blanket. It's there's something very like Hook, like this. It's
There was like a
I
very
don't know what it is.
Planes,
Like a
Trains.
je ne sais quoi of
well, there was a very it's like the family aspect of films was taken as like not I mean it was just it was held in high regard, like family movies
yeah.
were
Like
like
Casper
80s,
is even one of
90s,
those,
like,
like-
it was just like there was something about they I see
Well,
what you're
And
mean-
it's kind of like how comedy has evolved, right? We in 2004 Anchorman hit and was the coolest thing anyone had seen in comedy. It changed comedy forever. But Anchorman 2 came out, tried to follow the same thing, and it didn't work because comedy had evolved, right?
Well,
Judd
yeah.
Apatow had changed the game.
to expand upon that, sitcoms were
Mhm.
the king of television programming. And then Sopranos.
Yeah.
Sopranos changed, so it's like, okay, 1 hour dramas, only anti-heroes.
Yeah.
And then it became all about who is the darkest character that we can find redeemable. But then all the shows like, Married with Children and Cheers and Three's Company, all those went away.
Yeah.
Because they were like, we can't have warm, fun people anymore. We have to have fallible people, which is fine because it reflects our reality. But like, it's weird that we don't get those kind of like feel goody
like
things.
This isn't made anymore. Like, and I think some of it comes with studios not willing to take risks on smaller films. Like this was a smaller budget film in a sense, if I'm not mistaken.
No, yeah. I mean, it's low by any number standpoint, but I'm just checking the inflation.
Yeah. So I don't know what it is there's something about the musical score, the way that film was just made in the 90s. And I know that best, practices and stuff like that changed. Like, oh, no one does this anymore. No one does that anymore. But I wish there was something that I could, I've been feeling this for a few years now, and I don't know how to put it into words what it is about 90s films that feels so comfortable and so loving. Loving is not the right word, but it felt like a different amount of care went into these family films than does now. Because like Dana's been watching all of those straight to streaming holiday movies. It's just
all them Hallmarks, all them Single All The Way.
That ain't it, homie. She watched this one with Vanessa Hudgens.
Princess Switch.
Yeah,
There's a third one.
Like it lies in between. Do you know what I mean? It lies in between the Christmas blockbusters we get now and those. There's
it's
a
warm
spot in
because it's
between.
gonna button up, but it's not warm in every shot.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it doesn't take your entirety to watch. And you can put it on and enjoy it and just be like, everyone's going to at least like this.
My dick hole self is going to say the tungsten lights and it's shooting on film.
Shooting on film.
The LEDs and the digitals
But it's also
look too crisp.
Yeah, it's also how it's edited and scored.
Yeah.
And the writing.
The
and like,
whimsy music is very good. But
Yeah.
like, it's those things, it's like, but a lot of people opted out of those things because what's the affordable way? Get temp music. Go with digital. Go with LED. We can't afford tungstens because they break and it's really hard to use. Film, you can't waste film. And the score, it's like, well, we can't pay someone to just make an original score. It's like, let's just use some holiday music.
We can't afford Danny Elfman.
Yeah. So it's to me, I'm telling you, it's that weird.
I think it's a time as well, right? So it was a time before iPhones and technology was just on the precipice of changing. And, you see, this is the nostalgia part of it. You see those 90s cars and you're like, I want to go back to the 90s so bad sometimes. Anyway, that the bad side of the 90s is there was, I think Gus Johnson made this joke, the late 90s, especially early 2000s, where he's like, how to write a movie in the 90s and 2000s. And it shows him at a writer's board and it just says gay jokes, poop jokes, and something else, misogynistic jokes. He's like, maybe we move one of these poop jokes and replace one of the gay jokes. And it's like, there's the 90s for you. I mean, there's not a whole lot of that in this, which is, knock on wood, but there are some of my favorite films, definitely suffer from like, ooh, yeah, no, we don't do that anymore.
Since we're in the qualm section,
Yeah,
I can talk
yeah.
about that. There was something that I was completely, I'm going to be personal for a second.
Yeah.
Just put a little personal fact. I was bullied a lot when I was a kid. And in the 90s, what kids loved to call other kids was fag.
Oh.
They didn't know that this was a thing.
I got that
They
tossed
didn't-
my way as a theater kid a lot.
Yeah, and me being a little big kid, I didn't even really know what it meant. I knew that my uncle was gay. Anyway, I was called fag a lot. I was bullied a lot, and I was very upset that in this movie, so Buster gets kicked off the float.
Oh, Booster, yeah.
Booster, sorry. And the kids are kicking and beating him and saying, "We don't like you, fag."
Oh,
and
they said that? I didn't hear that.
And it was so funny. I had to rewatch it and then go on the internet to
They do say it?
and they do say it.
Whoa.
And I was like, the first time that I watched it, I watched it on something else. I rented it on something else. I think it was just on Apple TV that I rented it. I didn't realize that it was on Disney Plus. And
They say it on the Disney Plus one?
yeah, I watched it
Whoa.
again on Disney Plus, and I was like, "There's no way.
Way
There's
to
no
go.
way. There's no way that this."
Did you catch that?
I did not catch it. I would say way to go in two things because Disney is very like ashamed of their past,
Mhm.
but then so like them not redubbing it is very interesting.
I was like, wait, wow, really?
And to that point, and I was gonna make
I had to check on the internet because I was like, nah, maybe I'm just being paranoid. But no, it's
to me, it's
Yep, it's there.
it's an interesting critique, I would say, of the film because it's a look, everyone. Not only can the adults be terrible, kids are fucking terrible too.
I
Oh
yeah,
my God.
I was completely like just the fact that it was a thing and because subtle jokes, no, they're not good. They're not good at all. But it's like this was just so blatant that I was like,
It's how I felt
Wait,
about
that it
that,
was
the
loud?
booster saying that I feel like a dog in a Chinese restaurant. And I
yeah,
like,
it was just like
Jesus.
it was just blatantly like I was. Oh, what? I was doing the pre-core and I had to rewind. I did rewind. I went back a few minutes and
It's
it
still
just
rewind.
kept. Yeah, that's true. And I was just like, whoa! It made it through.
Oh no! I mean,
Wild.
yeah. I mean,
it was the
I,
90s, I guess.
I would say like this. It's like I'm more surprised.
But it's made it through the ages.
Sure.
Like nobody. I would think
No
that
one
they
wanted to
would
redub
even
it.
cut that shorter as like a new version. Like even if you just like.
well, the thing is that Disney got in a lot of trouble for editing all the Simpsons episodes,
Mhm.
and so they're probably like,
They
oh,
left the smoking in for Booster too.
Yeah, they're probably like, oh,
Yeah.
we have to keep everything. But like
Yeah.
to your point, like, yeah, it's such a time capsule piece of like, yeah, that is a word that was just thrown out so often. And I feel like for me, like I would never dare say the word only because it's like, don't need to. My vocabulary is a lot bigger than that. But then yeah, that was just a commonality thing, which sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About that, where it's just like, sometimes the 90s isn't great.
Yeah.
Keep the tongue.
That's what
somewhere.
I mean. That's what I'm saying. Like it's a double-edged sword because there is something about the feel of those movies that is really
and then
magical.
and then around the corner, something terrible is going to be
Yeah,
said.
there is a I think you kind of nailed it. There is a wonderment to these 90s, especially these holiday films that we don't get anymore. Like I think honestly 2001, the first Harry Potter is the last one that really feels like
That era,
yeah.
that 90 to 2002-ish
Mhm.
max.
Because you have like I don't remember what year Love Actually because that kind of had the same.
That was 2005,
was it?
2006.
To ask to
could be wrong. Let me
follow up, Corey was talking about this is a smaller budget film. To today's standards, that film would have been $130 million. So still not the $200 million big blockbuster movie, but it's
Still had Schwarzenegger getting paid 20 mil. So
Yeah.
So
My last qualm
Qualms.
is that it is really hard to feel bad for Howard.
Mm.
To have any me personally, it was really there were empathy was weak.
yeah,
for
you're
his character.
you're
that it's
following
like,
to see if he's gonna
not
get
even
it.
from a comedic level. I was like, dude, bro,
Dude, bro, dude.
When he when he arrives at the karate match, he's like, I didn't make it. No, fuck, you didn't make it.
Yeah.
The lights are already out. You know you didn't.
I
make
will
it.
say to Howard's defense, when he's in that traffic and he wants to pull over and starts driving, I'm like, oh, I've wanted to do that so much
Always.
in my life, so
Then
much.
you
but-
immediately find out why you don't do
Yes,
that.
well, it's stupid to your
Yeah.
point, 100%.
Just
Like,
like-
well, that's what I'm saying. Like the entire movie is just his comeuppance.
I'm
coming
thinking
to get him.
about one of your comments. One of my favorite comments you've ever made that became one of the intro scenes of one of our episodes is from when he's going through and you're just like, dude, don't
Come on.
no, he's gonna do that. He's gonna do the.
Oh yeah, I mean,
God,
I
Howard.
think I've said this multiple times in the episode. Like when your dad doesn't love you,
Yeah.
well, like don't be Jake Lloyd's dad in a movie.
Howard, no, you're making it worse.
Qualms, you me.
I'll go. The jetpack thing.
Like
It's too cartoony for
Oh, yeah.
me.
Oh yeah.
Like I could have done with some of it. I like that it's a working jetpack, and I would have liked to see him like fly around. Maybe
but he flew
maybe like
above.
spinning around and stuff. Like I don't know
But
what's
he flew
happening.
above skyscrapers.
And then he like hits the wall, and he's like a board, and I was like, it super
your
took
line?
me
No,
out
I'm
of
just
it. It is. It really is. Like in comparison to the rest of the movie, like I could believe on a reindeer like picking up on someone's shit because I've seen animal like my dog, Ellie Mae, who's the sweetest. We had this super sketch looking guy come near us, and she never growled at anyone in her life, but this guy gave off some energy she didn't like. And so I do believe on animals being like, no, fuck this guy. That didn't bother me. The jetpack thing really did. It went too far.
No, I mean I get it. There are a few like cartoony comedic places that it's just like, oh, that's cartoon. Like when the bomb goes off in his face, and it's like that's
For some
straight
reason
out of
that
a
one didn't
cartoon.
bother me as much.
No, that was like blatant, like
Yeah.
and the the CGI of flying, and you're like, oh, that's clearly a
Yeah,
background.
it,
Like,
it
this is-
honestly was the hitting the wall like a board. That really was like, that's my line. There it is. Found it.
Number 2.
I don't think I have a number 2, like specific thing. Yeah, I don't have another qualm.
I would say kind of the same way. I love and hate the fact of I was just like, what's happening to this movie? Because it makes me think of The Mask.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, The Mask is the perfect blend of cartoon and reality, where this is like, even the Turbo Man guy is an actor. Right? It's on a show. Like, but why is this guy allowed to break the boundaries of reality in some ways? It's like, why is this bomb not serious? Like, and it's like, well, it's a holiday movie. It's like, I get it. Like, we're not supposed to, these are all fictional people that don't matter. I get it. But it's like, when you kind of do that, you create a little bit of like, well, it's because reality doesn't matter, and then the toy matters, and then you start asking yourself these questions while you're watching this movie of like, what matters in this film? Is it Howard getting redemption from his son? Is it about Howard getting the toy for his son? Is it about the son getting a toy? Like, there are like small factors in that sense that play into it. Is it that Liz Langston is going to move on and be with Ted instead? Will Ted actually be able to swoon this woman? Like, these things are kind of thrown out to an audience who's like just going to, like, I don't know, maybe have a thought while they're watching the movie instead of being like, not like just tell me the movie and I'm just gonna walk away. It's like, no, you watch the movie, like
engage with it,
be part of the movie, and like, so when you watch the movie, you actually are paying attention. You're like, oh, I should be asking these questions, and they should be answering it, or they'll answer at the end. At the very end, they don't have an answer. They don't have an answer why they want to just like, all right, well, when the real drama and consequence happens, we're gonna step aside. We're sidestepping that.
Right.
And so I love it because it's like, it's a dumb kids home family movie, but also it's like, but this movie doesn't want to be like a very just clear cut kind of movie in that sense. Like, you have Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, right? And that's more of an adultish movie, and there are breaks in reality.
It's rated R.
But they're on the person. Like, having Howard have that vision of his son being the mailman, it's like, that's in his mind.
Yeah.
That didn't happen in reality of the film. And so when this happens, it's like, when it happens, the bomb, well, the bomb goes off and no one dies. Typically, like, in real life, body parts.
Yeah.
In real life, that's
body parts.
That's a Stanley Kubrick film now. Like, okay, we're actually playing this game. Then you play with the true consequences. It sounds like you wrote things into that, and you're like, how do I get out of this? And you didn't have a way to get out of it. It's like, let's just make it a cartoon. And so, like, there, you gotta hate and love both at those moments. Second qualm really, is it's not anything else wrong, but it just kind of meanders. And it kind of just like, nothing really feels like, ooh, this is a really good moment. Everything kind of feels like very just okay. Like, ball pit moment, fun, you can laugh, but it isn't like hysterical. Moment with the warehouse with the Santas, really cool. Could they have gone more? Yes, they could have. And it's like, you get to kind of see like, oh man, they could have went super seedy and dark and just had this really weird moment of like, they do like a Godfather thing, right? Like, if you were going to go this crime boss area, like, go further. If you're going to do like,
I'm just imagining coming December, Stanley Kubrick's Jingle All The Way.
And like, again, comparisons to Thief of Joy, right? But like, even in Zootopia, a movie that I feel is very overrated, they have that moment with like the little mouse who's like a Godfather guy.
Yeah.
Like, it's a cool, like, wow, this movie just took a hard turn for no reason. Or like,
isn't he a mole?
A mole, yeah. And so, but it was like that. They're like, oh, this is a true Godfather like homage. Or like the part with the ball pits, like they could have like, oh, let's ride this. Let's go hard and beat him up like crazy. Or like have him like be like a mouse like in these tubes. Or like have him in the store and like have absolute insanity. But they kind of hold it in. So like, maybe there's something to enjoy with the discipline. But then it's like, oh, go in, go hard.
I see what
you
you're saying.
have the Terminator in here, man. Go hard in this.
Go ham.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, like they do that with twins, right? Where like Julius is like, I'm pissed off, and he destroys like a table.
Yeah.
Or like he clotheslines a guy on a motorcycle. It's like he lifts a car, and like they weren't afraid to go crazy. Here, they went crazy with like things that don't make sense.
Or Junior, yeah.
Like in Junior's like, oh man, a man getting pregnant, but it's like, okay, let's do all this. Like my hands are very soft, like those kind of things. Like, let's go that, but then it's like, oh,
so soft.
we're gonna just break reality. Like it's not out of our imagination to be like, Could Arnold Schwarzenegger deadlift a car? Probably.
Junior.
You know, like could he
Believe it.
clothesline someone?
We'll cover it.
Probably. And
Cover
so
Junior.
it's those things. All
All day.
Schwarzeneggers. All the Schwarzeneggers.
I remember my second qualm.
Okay.
And I said it earlier in the episode. It's when the ending isn't with his family.
Mm-hmm. He's getting carried away.
He's getting carried away with the crowd. And I think it would have been a better ending to just end it with his family.
Like Hallmark card, like
well,
smiling. Like,
compared
it just didn't need to keep
Rocky.
going. It just
Yeah.
didn't need to. It could have ended with that moment between them all, and then seeing Phil Hartman come up and his kid go, "You smell like puke." And that could have been it. Everyone cheering, and they're just like Hallmark, holding his family, holding his son up on his shoulder.
Rocky.
Yeah, Rocky.
It's not about everyone carrying Rocky off the stage because he went the distance. It's about him saying "I love you" to Adrian.
Yeah. So
That's what
anyway,
matters.
that was my second qualm. It's
So
a little
now-
one.
Now we go to rating.
It's either you or me.
You.
4
We'll just go alphabetical.
Ooh.
point.
Ooh.
Yep.
4.0.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's a 4 for me. Solid 4.
Josh.
Okay.
Oh, so go.
No. I was just going to explain my point is just that while it has its flaws, I really do think it's one of those for me, especially because of the 90s, one of those classic Christmas movies that doesn't get swept under the rug. It's not low enough to be like, I'm going to forget about this forever. We all remembered Jingle All The Way, and we hadn't watched it for decades and 10 years or whatever plus. And everyone in it is really good.
Josh.
I did it. I pulled the Corey.
3.5.
Ooh.
Uh-huh. There it is.
Ooh.
Yeah, this movie's okay. It's like I'll watch it again probably
Yeah.
someday.
Did I get it right?
But it's okay.
All right.
It's on the memories shelf where it's like, yeah, I watched that a lot. That was really great. It goes with the holidays for me. But it's kind of like, all right.
Let me give Corey some trauma.
Oh, no.
I had a number when I walked in, Corey.
Yeah.
The number stayed the same.
Oh, okay.
Because I know you love no, he changed his
We gotta-
number.
we gotta keep the numbers.
Right.
Change your
No,
mind.
it stayed the same. 3.5.
Whoa.
Because this is kind of not a great Christmas movie or holiday movie, whatever. It's a very average one, right? And out of all the Schwarzenegger movie, it's a not good Schwarzenegger movie. But when you're doing a Schwarzenegger rewatch, if you do those things like me, everyone, I never do that, but you should put this in your thing. But it's not going to be like
We need to have
Predator.
like
It's
a movie night where we watch Schwarzenegger.
oh,
A
total
movie weekend, just
Yeah.
watch Schwarzenegger.
the best thing about this film is that you see Schwarzenegger not be an action hero.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a sad point at the same time. A lot of the things I like about it are like double-edged swords. But doesn't mean it's good. Seeing Robert Downey Jr. not be Iron Man is fun, but I'm not gonna watch Dr. Dolittle. You know what I mean?
Oh, you're missing out, bro.
I'm sure I am. I'm sure I am. I'd watch what was the one the judge?
Oh yeah,
I
That's
watched
pretty
that.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I watched that. Yeah, I was like, I watched Chef and him in there for 10 minutes. I'm like,
I
sure.
have to correct my earlier self. For the first time ever, I've misnamed who the Nerd on Nation guest.
You
It was Josh.
Oh.
I said it was Tom. I
Oh.
fooled myself.
Hmm.
Wow.
But so you have to shout us out about that anyways.
I have to shout you both out anyway, but I wanted to clear the air on that. So the shout outs go as followed. Dana P, Mitchell G, Charlotte G, Dougler, Brock P,
Mm.
Justin, and Noe.
No.
Nice. Shout out.
I love Schwarzenegger. And I'm really, to me, I'm like, whatever. If we're shared grums, who cares?
Yeah.
Which is why I guess Josh, because it's like if anything, Tom might give it an extra point something more because it's Schwarzenegger.
I did. That was what it was.
Yeah, you know what? If I had heard that before, it probably would have been a 3.9. But I wrote down my score already.
Yeah,
Heard
sure.
that little bit of it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
God, we
There
really
you
need to
have
get-
it.
We need to get something for when you're voted grump. Like you can hold it up and.
I-
Anyway,
I potentially might be buying something.
Okay.
It's not like a ring or anything like that, but I'm like, it'll be cool. I think it'll be
I
fun.
already was designing something and
Oh,
everybody
we
liked
can
it.
have both, man.
That's true.
It's gonna live
All
here.
things can
Yeah.
live in existence. Anyway,
Sing us out.
Tell us what you think of Jingle All The Way. Join that Discord. There is a movie channel in there that you can continue the conversation. nerdon.tv/Discord. Consider joining the Nerd On Nation. It really does allow us to grow and to keep creating better content like this. Tom slowly lowering the Turbo Man box into frame. It's probably already in frame, but
Yeah,
anyway.
it is.
Turbo Man.
It's pretty amazing. Go check it out on YouTube. Speaking of which, check out our YouTube. All of our episodes go to video. Check it out. All of the stuff that I'm just spewing out into the airwaves and the video waves, go to our website. Nerdon.tv has all of these links. You can just remember.
The linky links.
Nerdon.tv.
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 There it is.
If you like what you hear or see today, stop by, rate and review us. That kind of stuff really does help.
Can you please? That would be like my Christmas wish
Yeah?
is for us
Your
to
criminal
get
present?
I'm gonna keep it modest. 5 new reviews on the Apple Podcast app. That's my Christmas
That's what you want from
wish.
Santa?
Merry
That's
Crisis.
what I want for Christmas.
Christmas. Cool.
I want 5 new reviews on our podcast by the new year.
Yeah?
I would love that.
With like actual reviews, not just like ratings, like
Yeah,
reviews.
ratings and review. Like even if it's just like love this podcast or hey, I listened.
Or Merry Crimbus.
Yep.
Merry
Chris list.
Happy Chrysler.
That's my Christmas wish to all of you. 5 new ratings and reviews on the podcast app. And we'll get Tom to never make that joke again.
There it is. Well, that has been our episode. We're nearing the end of 2021. So thanks for joining us for this crazy ride. We appreciate you all. Take care of yourselves. Happy holidays. You know the drill. As always,
Nerd on.